anywhere. You have to sit down and ask.
Sally, you're welcome. So give us your introduction.
Thank you very much. I'm privileged. Yeah, it's one thing seeing yourself as somebody, and it's also another thing people seeing you as somebody. So I believe it's a welcoming idea to, as it were, have you in mind, and also have you as we journey through life.
Yeah.
So once again, I'm grateful. I think that is before I say something about myself. I need to show much appreciation for giving me this huge platform of yours. I really appreciate it. Yes.
Right.
So Stanley, I love to call myself Dodzi.
Dodzi, okay.
Because that is coming from my roots, from my dad's side.
Okay.
Mr. Johnson Akleka.
Okay.
And my mom is a blend of Kwabena and Achim.
Okay.
Dad, that of Eve and Krobo.
All right.
As I speak to you, I'm in somewhere called Achimaposu. And Achimaposu is in the eastern region.
Okay.
North district, to be precise.
All right.
That's exactly where we have Cocoa Research Institute, one of their substations. So I'm just laying this foundation to mean that my dad have to travel from, there's a ever Krobo blend community at Suhun.
Okay.
Suhun in the eastern region, it's called Abobri. That's where my forefather, that is from my daddy's side. That's where the journey from the Togoland, or let me say, the Volta part of the country, to kind of settle.
Okay.
About 2 generations ago.
Wow.
So eventually, after school, that is on my daddy's side. He had one of his elder brothers, also that they all grew up from that same village. Already, he was working with Cocoa Research here at Afusu. So he gave daddy the direction. He virtually helped him out to secure a job at Cocoa Research.
Wow.
Afusu. So that's how come daddy, being an Ewe, travel from that Ewe land to Simafosu, and eventually met my mom.
Yeah.
They got married.
Wow.
And here is Duke Percy.
That's right. Your father was adventurous. Okay. All right. So what do you do? What's your background in terms of education? What do you do now? Let us know.
Interesting. I am a universal learner. Good. So, as I indicated earlier on, sake of that, I have to start my education right here at Achimaposu. Right? My basic education. I received all my basic education at Achimaposu. Beginning with Achimaposu RC, eventually completing at the same RC basic. Then I continued to Nkwetia, where I had my secondary education at Nkwetia Presby Commercial.
Okay.
As in Kwat, to be precise. Yeah.
Okay.
So eventually, I offered business at Presby. Yeah, business. Well, at that time, second cycle. So did you call it business?
Business. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you have the basis. I don't know. You have the basis of business. Not that strong, but how the education structure have been crafted over the years. You be thinking you are doing business. Yeah. And for that matter, we will clothe ourselves with, hey, tomorrow I want to end up like this.
Yeah.
And thinking your psychology will be around in your mind what you see to be business. Personally, Daddy used to take me to, I want to establish why probably I started on business footing at my level.
Okay.
At the time that I was in my primary school, I remember very well, at the tail end of every month, Daddy would take me to, at the time they call it payout. He's going on the payout. That is when they receive their salary or salary is in. Let me put it that way. Many a times, I do recollect, he will even pick me in my uniform, probably around first break, the tail end of first break during that time. Then this man will travel with me to Nkoko. So we move all the way from Achimafosu to Nkoko. At the time, I understand it was more than an hour and 20 minutes journey just to go and take his salary. So I really appreciate at that time what I see at the banking hall. I'll see these smart ladies, neatly dressed, then smart gentlemen in their cars.
But you mentioned the ladies first, man.
Well, probably I'll say I do cherish their. See, one interesting thing is understand almost every banking hall you enter, these are I would say the face of the bank. The ladies normally happens to be the face of the bank. You see them before you even get to see the bosses of the bank.
Yeah.
So if probably I mentioned ladies first.
Stanley. You were looking at the ladies.
So I got my inspiration from that let's say early stages of my life. So I was one way or the other schooled to believe that if I want to end up like them, then I need to stick my business studies very well.
Okay. So
I think I was driven by that inspiration, and that landed me on the business course at the SS level. So right after SS, I had the opportunity to teach for some time. Yes, like my good friend.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, I also had the opportunity to teach for some time. And at the time, it was Finland School Complex. That one is situated at New Abrim. It's a private institution. I had about one academic year, that's about 9 months of teaching.
All right.
Along the line, the proprietress of the school, Mrs. Gladys, she was so in love with the way I do my things to the extent that she virtually invited my parents and advised them that I look so outstanding in the way I do my things. At my age, at the time I was just a little over 18 years. And I went to the school, met considerably elder or older people in the circles. But at my age, I was performing very well. And this woman was so impressed. So she actually, I would say, directed my path from that end to mean that she went to the extent of advising my parents to seek me or to assist me go to teacher training.
Okay.
And you see, let me say the good or bad about it is at the time, you have not actually built up any strong, as it were, path for yourself. That is what I've learned, and I'm working seriously to correct. If not for my children, probably for my next generation. That right from day one, the Bible even says that teach the child the way he should go. That when he grows, he doesn't depart. What I've seen that draws people back in so many ways is the fact that the path is not that focused. People don't have a really
clear path. Clear
good.
path. Yeah.
So when that happens, I learned something from Wallace. Wallace is one of my inspirational writers.
Okay.
He wrote a famous book, The Science of Getting Rich. He said that when that happens, you become like a wave on the sea. You go to the direction that the wave or the sea blows. So any direction the sea blows, you'll be gravitating towards that direction. Mm-hmm. And I believe strongly that was my state at that time, in my teens, my late teens.
Yeah.
So this one really influenced my life.
Okay.
At that stage, to the extent that I just forget my banking ambition and throw my support for this college something. But I must say that I never regretted that. It was, I heeded to that advice. I purchased second college forms, and I must say that I landed on the lands of the #1 teacher training college in Ghana, Ekropon College of Education.
All right.
Yes. And at the time,
it's not so many. It's not so many of BHM Training College or Mampon Training College. You are saying it's
no. But this is a Ekropon. This is a Ekropon. Yes. And I really enjoyed that section, or let me say that transition in my life at the Ekropon, and I learned a lot. So I would say on the part of my education, that's where, let me say, one leg ends. I ended up as a teacher trainee at that stage. And it took a very swift turn. Just after some few years in my teaching profession, there's this company called Newmont. And they, at the time I completed, they have been around, if I say around, where I mean, like Shimafusu and New Abraham environment. In my 2013, the company has been around for like 13 years.
Yeah.
And they've started this program which sought to train the host communities, members within the host communities.
Yeah.
They have, towns that they've earmarked as host towns. Let's say the most impacted towns of activities of the mines. So they have a special program for members within these towns that sought to give them the mines exposure, what it takes in terms of engineering stuff, that tomorrow, when you take advantage of, or when you are taking through such training, you can also have what it takes to work with the mine. So I came back from college with full gear, with a lot of inspiration to teach. And I came to learn about this program. So once again, I started having a different thought about even abandoning this teaching business and think of joining this program that is bringing on board a totally different, learning space. So in 2017, eventually I joined. And I joined as maintenance apprentice, mechanically biased. So from teacher training now into the mining space. And I must say that I had my mining, learning, and everything in a very well-structured, practical manner. So in a space of 3.5 years, and in fact, it even ended up on our 45th month. That's about 3 years and I think 6 months or 9 months or so. Because of COVID, the program is naturally a 3-year program. That's all to train people at the maintenance section. And because of COVID, they have to extend the period for let me say my year badge. So I kind of quit the teaching and sign up to this engineering course. And I travel all the way about 45 months, as I said earlier on. And today I'm a fully fledged mechanical engineer, University of Mines and Technology accredited.
Wow.
So currently working with the water treatment company. We sought to treat water under the mines. So within the same mining environment, that's where I find myself now. Amazing. As a mechanical technician.
Wow.
That's right.
Wow. Wow.
So,
Wow.
Mr. Obeng has been my journey, and that's what we are doing for now.
Okay. So it means you did not practice as a teacher. Now, you did not have science background, no technical education background in code, and yet you ended up being trained as a mechanical engineer in the mining sector.
That's right. Wow. That's right.
So what are some of the difficulties you met? I mean, no science background, no technical TVET, as they call them. What are some of the difficulties that you would meet, or what were some of the difficulties you met?
Good. So I would say the very challenging moment with respect to the mining space and the engineering space is the fact that I never had any taste of the basis.
Yeah.
I don't have the taste of the basis. And even the fear factor.
Okay.
I'll put it that way. That one, basically, it was coming from a parental side. Mm-hmm. Because, and then the very structure of our environment. You see, society is so structured that, or let me say, so clothed in fear that mommy, daddy, they can't just stand it. Listening to their word that is spent that much on in education, then it came out only to tell us that, come on, whatever it is that you invested in me, I don't want to take that path again. So I'm sorry, I'm going my way. I think that was the most challenging turning point in my life.
What were the problems? Did they agree with you? What was it?
To be honest, I think I have to disclose this for the first time. And probably that you'll get to know later on.
Oh.
So what happens was, it fortunately or unfortunately for me, as I said, I moved out from the district to school at Ekropon. At the time, you have to indicate the district that you would like to be posted to right after completion. Mm-hmm. And I did indicate I want my district, Brimnorth district.
Yeah.
And in Brimnorth, at the time, we had 3 basic schools belonging to the Roman Catholic, dotted in 3 different towns. Mm. These 3 different towns, one happened to be the very one I completed at Achimafosu. Mm-hmm. And the other one happens to be in a town called Shekwai. Mm. So I indicated my district, and I indicated the very school that you also wish to join. So if it's Roman Catholic, you have to indicate. If it's, say, Presbyterian, you have to. If it's Islamic, you have to indicate. So I did indicated Roman Catholic. Fortunately for me, when I entered the district, they posted me to Shekwai. Shekwai is about a few kilometers from Achimafosu, where my parents are. So I was kind of hidden in a way from them. Mm-hmm. I commute from Afosu to school almost every day. I did that for almost 8 months. And then I moved to rent at that place. So my point is, at the time that I started renting at that part of the district, I used to visit my parents mostly on weekends. Anytime I come to my parents or anytime I'm visiting, I'll dress and pose like, or I'll pose as if I'm still teaching. At the time, now I've taken my own path. I've drawn my vision, I've drawn my plans of trying to join this mining company in my own way, in my own style.
Oh, you had a plan to join the mining company?
Exactly.
Why? Why did you want to join the mining company?
Yes, so I would say my inspiration came from the fact that I wanted to establish myself. And I wanted to establish, or I wanted that establishment so badly that I believe joining a space that will kind of cushion me in a relatively faster pace was what was day in and day out. I got driven by that inspiration.
So you wanted to establish yourself. What would that mean? Establish yourself mean what?
I needed something to lay my hands on.
Okay.
That will kind of pushing me to enter into the business space.
Okay.
At the time, I have a vision of setting up this printing press business. It was so doing well. It was so doing well. And at the time, from college, you are taking allowance. This allowance will even come not timeously. It is always in delayance and all that. And I realized even taking advantage as an apprentice in the mines at the time, the program that's what to teach, as I indicated, people were taking a good sums of money. And personally, being a community member too, I have that opportunity to also join.
Okay.
So I considered all those things with the prime aim of getting a capital to start this press business.
All right. So it means that how about your friends who you completed the training college with? Were they in agreement with you?
Yes. To be honest, when that happens, that I wanted to have that change. Let me say the very primary environment of that I find myself, there wasn't any colleague of mine in the same institution with me.
Okay.
All those I was teaching with, let me see, my seniors from college. So I never actually had, let me say, a graduate friend at the time that I do discuss things with.
Okay.
But I must mention, I call it the Kwabena factor.
Okay.
Friend. And wherever he finds himself today, I say thumbs up to him.
Okay.
He's such a positive, I don't know how to put it, well-motivated guy. In fact, we have Kwabena Bank, and naturally, when you hear these rural banks, the way they've even couch their name, they just try to dot themselves around that environment. So if it is Kwabena Bank, then obviously you are looking around Kwabena and it's a bank that it will all operate within that circle. But this guy, at his age, was able to convince Kwabena and their management to set up Kwabena Bank on the land of Achim, or let me say, I know that Kwabena, they are all accounts, but not necessarily Achims. But this guy was able to bring them from the land of Kwabena into the land of Achim for the first time to establish a branch, all driven by inspiration. Age, you have to meet management, and he was able to convince them. And management, or let me say, the branch today is flourishing at New Abrim.
Okay.
It was all engineered by Kwabena. So Kwabena was the only friend I met at Shepai that I was so in love with. And all my inspiration, all my quest to overcome that fear factor and probably abandon a source that you are guaranteed of something every month and kind of hustle, because entering that program that the mines runs, is hugely, on a competitive base. Every year, or let me say two, this advert will come out, and we are looking at tens of hundreds of people applying.
Okay.
And they're taking like 5 or 10 from 10 different communities.
Wow, that's
So
highly competitive.
Fiercely, competitive. But I had that inspiration. In fact, the Kwaku factor I keep on saying subjected me to conscious way of reading. And at the time, I read so many books.
All right.
One of which I can never always mention the books I love without mentioning that name. Napoleon Hill's famous Think and Grow Rich.
Okay.
I came to realize all those materials by befriending Kwaku.
Wow.
And that is where that spirit of fear I was able to overcome.
Okay.
And I was able to kind of quit the teaching. And day in and day out, month in and month out, I'll drive to my parents at Achimafosu and I'll present myself as if I'm still teaching. At the time, I was off the teaching environment for close to 2 years. They were not aware.
Wow.
Parents never got.
Okay. Before I come to that, where is Kwaku now? Inti?
Kwaku is in Accra. Kwaku is doing well as a businessman. I understand today he's a consultant and he's a website engineer.
Wow.
So Kwaku can set your business up for you, let me say, in space, the internet. And he's also into consultancy.
Fantastic.
And he's really doing well.
That's right. And so, okay, so back to your parents. You said that for 2 years they didn't know. And
honestly,
how did they get to know?
So things was becoming tougher. And I understand I played my cards very well because in all these tough times, I never made any indication that's sort of suggest to them that, hey, our son is struggling or our son is not the person we used to know. So I kept myself. I was so passionate about what I was going through. And I knew my goals, that I must join this company by any means legally possible. So if I'm to touch a little bit about it, I have to write through the very community I was teaching. As indicated, they pick individuals on community base. So I once wrote through the community I was teaching at to present myself as if I'm one member from that community. It never worked. I was teaching at Shekwai. I was staying at a different town called Yayaso. So I tried it out, writing through Yayaso this time around. That was after a year, because mine is just a yearly program, or they open advert for people to enter or take advantage in yearly basis. So Shekwai this year, it never worked. Yayaso the next year, it never worked. Then I have to fall back to my town, Aposu. In between, I had opportunity. They ran 2 different programs, maintenance and operational side. Okay. Operational is the maintenance is for a 3-year something. So in between the operational period, which happens to open every year, maintenance section comes, depending on the demand that the company wants. So having tried the operational side for almost 3 years, the maintenance section came. At the time, I've tried Shekwai, I've tried Yayaso, I've tried Aposu. It has all never worked. Then I tried a town called Ajinia. And fortunately for me, it worked for me through Ajinia. I must say I'm so grateful to Nana Akumia. Nana Akumia happens to be one of the staff chiefs at Ajinia.
Okay.
He was the man behind all this. And as I said, I got that spirit of, say, that courage to confront each and everyone at my age. I never know, or I have developed myself to rise above any form of shyness, any form of timidity, or that fear. I can't do this. No, this beyond me. At the time, because of reading, now I said, glory be to Kwaku. Kwaku has so built me with the kind of books that he opened my eyes to. That I never know this man called Akmia, Nana today. I say, I never know him anywhere, but I have the courage one day, just one day. I was so informed that if I really want to join this program that the Minds is running, and Nana is one of the surest way, or the surest person who can help me out. Mind you, I'm a community member anyway, but I'm a member in a different town. The program is such that once you are within the catchment area, no matter where you are coming from, if the people in that town accept you, that ends it.
Okay.
So I supported Nana for the first time. And believe in me, Mr. Darko, the way I spoke to Nana, he was like, wow, young man, where from you? Where do you know me? How can you be so certain and sure? And you made yourself and your point so clear and precise. For the first time meeting me, I'm so impressed. Those were the words of Nana. And he just told me that, hey, Stanley, I'll help you. That ends it.
Wow.
And when the advert came, I placed it, and true to his words, he pushed everything. I also, at the time, was so burning for this program that the entrance exams and everything was just down for me.
That's right.
And I ended up being one out of the 5 people that they picked that year.
Wow.
Take advantage of the program. And today, I'm so grateful.
Amazing. Amazing. So what do you do today?
Yes. Today, I must say I'm with Mine Water Treatment Company.
Yeah.
And I'm playing a role as a mechanical technician. But the good news is I'm also now certain and clear in my mind what I really want to do, which is to set up myself on the business path. So at the days that I was struggling, I've abandoned my profession, that I was virtually going hungry every day. At the blind side of my parents, I met this man called Mr. Dan.
Okay.
Mr. Kwabena Dan. Mr. Dan is a business mogul. He owns a warehouse, let me say, a building material warehouse or shop at New Abrim. And that is what he has been doing for decades. So this man, I came to meet this man through this teaching profession. The same person, the man, the proprietress, who recommended I go to college. At the time, Mr. Dan's was schooling at her end. So I understand I visited the woman one day. And then that's how come I got to meet, or I got to meet these children from Mr. Dan. And understand at that time it was Mr. Dan's wife that I met in the school. And she indicated she's really in search for a teacher to take care of her kids. Good. And that led me to seeing Mr. Dan for the first time. So during that period, I was taking care of Mr. Dan's children, let me say, through extra classes. Then I started developing this, or let me say, I started indicating to him how passionate I am about business. So eventually, I have to, through the teaching profession, I'm now doing an extra classes inside the business premises of this man.
Okay.
Time I close, or let me say, every time the kids close, I'll join them at their daddy's premises, teach, and after teaching, I've also developed that interest. So I'll join the man in some bit of bookkeeping stuff for him. So eventually, he also developed this love for me. That hey, I picked this guy to come and teach my kids. But almost all the time, whenever he's done, he doesn't hesitate to join, help me out in one or two stuff. So that kind of bondage started developing. And I must say that there's this thing that I've learned from you. And I think I came across that quote just some few days from you. And I really love it. You said that your character is your collateral. And I believe this words will stand the test of time. And if you look at history, if you look at generations, if your character is well built, with honesty, with hard work, with sincerity, and I took another word from you, straightforwardness, you tend to go far.
Yeah.
I never thought of, let me do something and I'll ask or I'll demand something in return. I was only driven by the fact that, hey, whatever you do, even if man doesn't reward you, nature in its own way will reward you. So just do your best, show up, whatever help you can, give it to humanity, and nature will pay you back. So those were the words, those were the motivation that I have for helping this man after what he has actually contracted me for.
Wow.
I've been doing this bookkeeping stuff for him, let me say, unstructured, in an unstructured way. Because again, I wasn't picked to do that basically. So he'll guide me. Okay, this how I want it. Do it this way. And right from that time, I've been learning on the job. And today I must say that this very evening, had it not been the fact that I'm holding this session with you, around 8 10 or 20, as the time suggests today, or by this time, I would have been with Mr. Kwabena.
Wow.
Learning.
Wow. Amazing.
And good. And that has also opened the channel for me. I don't know whether I have to share this, because this is going to be my lifetime vision or my lifetime plan.
Okay.
As somebody who is seeking to join or who is seeking to develop myself as a businessman. I've chosen today, I'm so certain in my mind that I want to go the real estate way. And I must say, with all confidence, that I'm learning assiduously on that. And today, I can also confidently say that I've developed that trust. I've built that honest relationship with the likes of Mr. Dan and some other business guys who are so willing to support me on that very journey. And I believe that with their support, or let me say with their background as businessman in that very space that I want to enter, I'm so confident that I'm going to go far.
Why did you not travel? Why did you not travel? Why did you not run away? Why, or how many times did you try? What was the problem? Because I remember Ochre, I asked him the same question. Say, but you, when is it travel? So what happened? I want to hear. Okay.
I sought to challenge myself that no, if all it takes to build knowledge, to build confidence, to get to the known is to open yourself for reading, then I also travel that path.
Okay.
And I keep on saying the Kwakunti factor was a huge reason. So my point is, I had an earlier motivation that I can by all means make it here.
All right.
And from that day, I never developed any taste traveling abroad, traveling overseas, just in search of greener pastures.
Okay.
I developed that for myself. That no,
You want to
it says grass is greener at their feet. And if that's true, I know my land, my motherland, Ghana, can also have always and today continues to be a very fertile grounds to cultivate anything, including making it as an individual.
Yeah, you're right. There's no point for young men to move to Niger, move through Mali, Niger, go through the desert, try to get to Libya. Most of them will die. Then from there, they try to get to Italy. As if there's no poor man in Italy, they try to get to Germany, as if everybody in Germany is rich. Even those who go through the airport with documents, they find it difficult. How much more those who are trying? So it's a right choice. I mean, schooling or traveling, just like school, you see something. But for you to put your life, you are prepared to go through anything. Even if you die, you die. Just to get to Europe or America, no, that's unwise. Because the percentages are, staggering. Where just few will survive. Most of them, they will lose their life, and even if you get there, so that was a good thinking. And I think part of it is also, the things that you said you read. And for me, human beings, we live our persuasion. And a lot of them come from the things that we've been exposed to, especially mentally. So if you start life early, if you start to read early, it protects you. Especially if you read good things, they protect you and they make you sound, and they prevent you from making a lot of errors and unnecessary. So that's fantastic. That's fantastic. So tell me, Ochere was talking about how he heard of us. I think on radio. How did you hear of us? Tell me the story. And
honestly, on my side, I think either I introduce you to Ochere or Ochere introduce you to me. I've reached that point. But upon hearing you, it was through YouTube. I started following you on YouTube.
Okay.
Yes, I think at the early stages of 2000 and a young believer of data. I kept data a lot. I believe the first time I had a conversation with you, I have all what it is that between the two of us here. It was on the 31st of March, 2021.
Wow.
That's the time. Yes, it was a Wednesday. An extended version of with you on phone. So personally, I started following you on YouTube, and I believe it was Ochere who first introduced you to me. And that kind of cordial learning relationship has always existed between me and Ochere. Wow. And I think on your side, yes, as I'm still struggling to identify whether I introduced you to him or he did to me.
He actually said he had the Sunday starter pack during the COVID, and he told you about it, and so you went further, you watch some of the videos, and then you placed a call. You called actually, and so we talked, and from there we are here today. Wow. So some of the things that really made you keep the interest, what are some of the things that made you keep the interest?
You see, we are in a society that, unfortunately, people's mindsets have been so built to the understanding that the Black man is not capable. And this unfortunate thinking is so well established to the extent that the so-called educated ones, those who have dedicated decades of their life schooling, still believe and have settled for this erroneous, preposition that the Black is inferior, the Black is substandard, the Black is not adequate, the Black cannot or do not have what it takes. And to some extent, they say it jovially, but if you listen or you sit back and listen to them and look at what they do, they actually put it into practice.
Yeah.
Yes. They live it. And I think, sir, the kind of energy, the kind of enlightenment, or let me say, the kind of discovery that personally you yourself brought into that space and you continue to nurture within that space is what made me fall for you in following. Wow. Hey, contrary to what society have been telling you, and a good number of our people believe, this man is putting something different and we ought to listen to him. It's never true that we as a people are not capable, and always we have to kind of place second to some sort of quote and unquote a higher being living somewhere. That preposition is fundamentally wrong. And I think that drumming, that conscious drumming, that conscious quest to educate people to really unlearn the very erroneous things that they fill their minds with, just caught my attention. And I must say, if I show you the limited videos that I have on my phone, more than 90% happens to be teachings that is coming from Mr. Kwabena Obeng Darko, and I so love it to the extent that it is full of wisdom. It is full of, bringing out what people really has missed. That's making them think they are inferior to.
Yeah. And as you are saying, we grew up in that. Some people, for instance, the African Americans would grow up in racism. Those of us who are here, it's a bit subliminal. It's not open. So our people don't see that they've been primed that way.
Sure.
If you look at the day you are born to whatever age you are now, you see the things that have informed, conditioned, taught you, programmed our minds. No wonder people will grow up here and think that they are inferior, and think that the white man is an angel, and think that their country is poor, is underdeveloped, and somewhere is heaven. A lot of the things, you go to school is there, it's very, vet is there. You go to church, it's there. You watch TV, it's there. I remember the first time I heard Jesus speak, tree. I was amazed. Say, hey, yes, all got tree. I didn't have problem with Jesus speaking English, as if he was an Englishman. But I had a bit of challenge and I was inspired. I said, wow, Jesus is speaking tree. And this Jesus was European. So we've been conditioned that way. And a higher form of information would repair that. Because the content of education hails the European, hails the white man. The school, the business that you did at the secondary level, the courses that you did at the teacher training level, even the mechanics, the mining mechanics that you study, you see that almost every example that has to do with any discovery would have to be a white man and his name. So that unconsciously is telling you that even if nobody tells you that you are not up to standard. And that's why you can see people like Pini Jonas and all these guys lambasting us, telling us that somebody else is very intelligent, they have organized their society, and we are corrupt, backward, and we are selfish, things like that. It's coming from there. The moment you start to repair that, you see that if we are stealing 10, we are stealing millions, and you still think that you're honest. Okay? If they have developed, they've developed on the back of some people, not out of their intelligence, no. The armed robber thinks that he has money, exactly like that, We have things that we have to do ourselves, you have to improve ourselves. But if the more you study, the more settled you'll be in your spirit in terms of the facts on the ground and why we are not inferior, And if an African has not corrected that, he can become a president, he'll mess up. He can become the provost of a university, he'll mess up. He can become a CEO, a bishop, he'll still mess up. And these are some of the things that you see. They talk us down. They raise the white man in the same thread. They say they use all the negatives for us and you use all the positives for somebody else. That is a mind that is still under bondage. And many of our people are, unfortunately, in that kind of bondage. That's why you can see the Queen Mother with all the regalia, you'll still be bleaching. You see a king, a chief, sits on a big land, and you'll be begging a small white European to come and sing KVIP for him.
Unfortunately.
He has a culture, he can speak the language, but he does not have the African consciousness. And that African consciousness was fought, came under attack. They came under attack, they challenged our identity, they made sure that we would misunderstand who we are so that they could take a lot from us. And unfortunately, the education, the miseducation is still ongoing. And you talk about a group of Africans who are being educated, those in the suit and tie holding big positions, that is what they lack. They lack the pride in the African, so that's why they're looking for investors everywhere. I've never seen them say that we went to Togo to look for investors. I've never seen them say that we went to Cote d'Ivoire to look for investors. They always go to Europe, China, America to look for investors. That's to colonize people. So the mind is still reflecting what they've been colonized with, So that's a great point. And for me, that is the fundamental. If you don't have that right, all the other things will be wrong. All the other things will be wrong. So go ahead. Which other things that you picked?
Yes. So understand, based on that consciousness, today I'm having a headache, always trying to even our defend who I am as a Black person against my own fellow Blacks who not have accepted the unfortunate part or the unfortunate fact they are simply substandard. And we shouldn't just try to talk in collaboration with the so-called whites, and that we can never be like them. I see, I am consciously building myself to the extent that I stand through your programs. I also learned to meet Professor James Small. Professor James Small have also been sharing a lot, seeking to also awaken us.
That's right.
To the fact that, hey, we are even the, if you have to say people, God created people, then God naturally created this skin.
That's
and
right.
Never any other skin called white.
And that's scientifically supported. It's there. Then now, given the last time they found it. But
Exactly.
He's a great teacher. He's a master teacher. I don't know why we don't have a lot of his materials everywhere. Unfortunately, a lot of the people who have this kind of material were systematically hidden from the continent.
Sure.
Even if they come here, you don't see their materials anywhere. But when you go through the street, you see materials from all these preachers, you know, American preachers teaching us things that we can use.
So these are part of the colonized system that we are still struggling to dismantle.
Yeah.
And I think you say that where attention goes, results.
Okay.
So naturally, because I'm giving attention to some of this form of, let me say, it's a new environment. If you are to look at where you're coming from, as you narrated, the educational system, even unfortunately your own parents, they never got to understand that consciousness.
No.
So if you are to continue to live with them, you are continue to battle your colleagues who are so ingrained in anything white, and you are to single-handedly be pushing gradually some new philosophy. And I say new because they simply can't understand that what you are trying to put across.
Yeah.
Anything black.
Yeah.
Suddenly you are saying what? Forget. Let's end it. So I have been following this class of people, Dr. Renoko Rashidi. I don't know whether you've heard about him too.
Yes.
Yeah. I've been following his slide. May he so rest in peace. I understand he passed last year.
Yeah.
So the consciousness day in and day out, I'm consciously building myself.
Yeah. Rodoko, I started to read his articles, I think, somewhere 2004. Somewhere.
Okay.
His name has been out, you know, for a very long time. And his pictures, he moves around to share a lot of this. He takes a lot of pictures and he teaches. He's a great teacher. But I had not listened to a lot of his lectures onto YouTube. You know, but wow. I know his name. And there were a lot of teachers that I heard their names. But thanks to YouTube, materials that they taught in the 70s are now available. In the 90s are now available. And for me, those materials we need. Not the ones that are telling us that we are inferior and we are nothing and we can't do anything unless somebody holds our hands.
That's right.
You know? So, and there was one great teacher who also did a lot on my mind on this one. And he did a lot of series. He was a preacher, actually. And he was a great teacher.
Okay.
And
who was that?
This is Frederick Casey Price.
Frederick.
He has a series. Yes. Search for him. He has a series. It's called Race, Religion, and Racism. You will love it. Race, religion, and racism. I knew him just around the 2000s. By his name, he's also been very, very radical preacher. So he taught a lot. And a chance to see that material. He did a series for about 3 years or so, or 2 years, teaching these things. Some of the materials, we will not even find them anywhere. Just as a lot of the materials that we can use to tell the white people that you're lying, they bent a lot of them, or they kept a lot of them. Somebody said they kept them, but they have hidden them from us. You know, so we move here, and you see there is this preacher saying that we sold our people, we are not trustworthy. You see, there's a certain preacher who's talking like that, very shallow, because he has no material to feed on. So he just sees what is popular and then condemns us. You know, so until you get to the people who have studied the facts, you will just be blaming us every day. And you see that all over, you know. And so anytime that you see people blaming the Africans, check again. Because almost every country in Europe was trying to be here. And they came with guns, they came with all kind of equipment. It was not for trade. It was for war. And we fought them. A lot of our major tribes fought, a lot of our small tribes fought. But they will tell you that they overcame you. No, the whole intention was to destroy us. If you didn't fight back, you know, it's just like just like the African Americans. Look at how many times that they had to fight. It's just like the Jamaicans or those in Haiti. Now, this data, they hid from us. and they taught us Bragro and Ekosidai. Even though those are very legitimate, we also need facts, historical facts of our achievement, of our resistance, of the things, of the kingdoms. I heard that there were some cities in Africa that had 2 million people at a time. Just about 1,000 or something years ago, 1,000 or more. And Europe was in their hundreds. And we don't know. Okay, we don't study them because they would not, anything that they will have to put in your books for you to learn. But if you go to University of Ghana, you find some of them there. What I do understand is that why not are they not teaching them? Every aspect of education must have this. From primary to university and every course in between. Every tertiary must have these things. Because if you're going to prevent them from going through the desert, they must have this knowledge. Because the way they see themselves will make them cherish who they are, or will say that if I die, it doesn't matter. You know, the person is saying he's hungry, but he's going with 15,000 Ghana cedis, 10,000 Ghana cedis. The problem is not Ghana is hot. The problem is the way the person thinks Europe is heaven and Africa is hell. And the white man is intelligent and the black man is foolish. That information. I remember one time in one of the cities in Europe, I met a man, a Ghanaian, who was living in Germany. So he said, where are you from? I said, I'm from Ghana. I was a young man, don't make the mistake I made. Go back home. I can see, we talked for a while. I said, I can see that you're very proud of Ghana. Don't stay here, go. I said, no, I'm not going to stay. He said, yes, go. We made that mistake and we have regretted it. But this time, I'm not sure I can go, but you go. Your youthful days, if you go and build something, it will start. That was an honest man, because I've always been. But because I started to learn about all this history, nobody could convince me that here was not the place. You know, here was not the place. So it matters the knowledge that we have. It so matters the quality of knowledge we have about ourselves. Yeah, because that defines everything. Everything. And then you start to even see the wisdom in our culture, in our traditions, and in our heritage. The moment you start to dig and read books beyond even not just the period of slavery, but thousands of years back. The moment we start to put the pieces together, because the strength of a man is in his mind. Your friend can look at you and you look the same, but if they were to weigh your mental strength, you could be 1,000 kg and your friend could be 1. But because you look the same, he thinks you are in the same. But it will show in the kind of pressure that you're able to take to build something. And we are saying that without history, there's no education. Especially as an African, without proper African history, there's no education. Wow. And if you hear them talk, if you see the hope, the optimism, the pride, you see that this one has different kind of education. And if you see the pessimism, and if you see the suit and tie, and you see the promotion of the white man and his business and his technology, you see that one has been trained to be a slave. And a lot of our people have their minds upside down, unfortunately. So continue, Stanley.
Good. Yes. So understand this is one of the areas that we need to build and continue to guide a very conscious structure around. And today, if we cannot even affect that which happens to be of the same age mate with or age group with, we can start to affect the very young ones in a very systematic, conscious way, in our own small way.
That's right.
Because I believe knowing this, today I can pinpoint 1 or 2, 3 people that one way or the other, they always reason with me in the same circle. And they have that kind of pride.
That's right.
That Africanness in them.
That's right.
That prestige attached to the scarlet black.
That's right.
That we are never inferior, but superior. And in fact, we are even the first fruit of the Almighty.
That's right.
So that spirit we are trying to nurture, and we cannot do this in isolation with business. So we've also been growing ourselves. Personally, one of the programs that I also love the most listening to is with Modia in kind on is it is Obrimpon Anamotu. He has a program like that he has been holding some sessions.
Yeah.
And I believe that he's instilling a lot of wisdom in the side of business. So my point is we have to marry these two. One philosopher said that society is so organized that man must have money before he can be or have or be known as a possessor of things. Before he can possess things, in today's environment, you must have enough money to be able to get that. All this wisdom, all this knowledge, everything is on the internet. We need money to even access the internet. I believe that we must marry all these things as we learn. So he even continued by saying that to him, he believed you must even make it before you try to philosophize later. But I strongly believe that if you don't marry the two along the line, you might think that you can only make it beyond the sea by going into a foreign land. Then probably when you think you have what it takes, you come back and philosophize later. So I think that going beyond probably one philosophy, you also open your mind to so many things. I believe that these two must go hand in hand. As you work cautiously about your mindset, you must also work on something that will continuously fill you, or that can continuously be fueling you in your quest to seeking knowledge and building yourself.
Absolutely. Money is the fuel of the vision. Yeah, we have vision, and the stand of the vision would have to be fueled, powered, fired by money. And so if your understanding of money, if your financial education is not up to date, you'll struggle. And just as they didn't teach us history, proper history that will make us a strong people, they also didn't teach many of our people finance. You can't create money with poor financial education. It has to be strong financial education, proper financial education first, then you can create wealth. So if you want to keep a people poor, deny them proper financial education. They will become doctors, engineers, teachers, police officers, but they will have no idea as to how wealth is created, but to work to get salary. And once they get the salary, they spend everything, and then they wait for the next month. And even if they save to pay school fees, they save to buy a car, they save to buy a house, they save to buy a computer, they save to have weddings, because that is how much little they know about money. And so you can keep a whole generation, a whole country, a whole continent in poverty if you deny them proper financial education. Proper financial education, the education that makes you to be able to, wherever you are, you can create wealth from there if you know what you're doing. Especially if you have great financial wisdom, you can create wealth everywhere that you go. Why? Because people are there. There's economics everywhere. And just knowing what to do, you can create money, you can multiply the money, and you can even preserve a lot of wealth just by knowing what money is, of what finance is. And unfortunately, most people never open a book on finance. Never.
That's that. Yeah. And I find it difficult to accept why such condition, something that is so fundamental, we tend, let me say, a deaf ears and a blind eye over its study. And I believe it's one of the lapses that we have as people. Because I believe rather that there is more for everybody. But it's about knowing what it takes to kind of dip yourself into that abundance.
That's right. Yeah, it's true.
Yes. It's about time we have to consciously build ourselves. And then, as it were, don't place emphasis on the, let me say, the minor things. We tend to place huge emphasis on the minor things, and unfortunately, we place little emphasis on the major things.
If you look at the education that we have, the people who introduced this kind of education were selling human beings.
Sure.
You think that they will give you information to make you wealthy? You can only challenge them because you have wealth, because you have money. So if they want you to be down, why would they give you money? Why would they give you information so that you don't need them again? No, they will never do that. And they did that everywhere. So even the kind of education they gave to their own people was devoid of financial education. It was intentional, it was structured, it was systemic. It was just another form of slavery. It was just another form of colonizing the people's mind. So take finance from the books. And instead of you putting the chain on their hand and telling them to work on the field, now give them some title or give them salary and then give them loans so they work all their lives to pay those loans and create a facade kind of life that they live to say that they will have a house. But then if he doesn't have a job, that house will be taken from him. Things like that, And the moment you start to dig deep, you will see that there's a way you can go around it. And that then becomes the ability to pick an idea and build a business. That's the way to go around the system. The ability to pick an idea and build a business. Because that way you create wealth. And they cannot control your mind, they can control your wealth, they can control your time, and they cannot control your destiny. And that's what you sought to do. You sought to say that I'm a teacher, I have this education, and this is where I want to go. Somebody said that once I've been trained as a teacher, I want to practice as a teacher. For me, you just need an education. The rest, go and live your life. Go and live the life that you want. You're trained as a doctor, you're trained as a lawyer, engineer, teacher, doesn't matter. What life do you want to live? And for me, I want a life that I have some control over my time and over my choices and have some control over money. So that's the life I want to create. And so the education is there. Now go and create the destiny that you want. And for me, that is the best way to go above the way human beings are controlled under this sun. Talking about entrepreneurship. And
that's right.
Yeah, so what have you picked on entrepreneurship? Either from our program or even our books. You bought the books, I remember. What did you pick from them?
Exactly. You see, it beats my mind. It beats my mind how simple certain things are that the system that we were raised in has tend to complicate it. In as much as that money plays a huge role in our lives, in our activities, in our up and our going and coming, the basis for which one can accumulate this expensive product is so clear. And those were the very stuff that I picked from the books that was bought, which was carefully drafted by Mr. Obeng Darko, and I really love it. With respect to resilience, that's some of the basics that I'm saying I picked from. Business and its setup has been made simplified, and whenever I pick that material, and I tend to follow what it takes, it sought to dictate, it really encourages me that you can start anywhere and you can build something for yourself. And not just something, but you can really get a basis that will sort to perpetuate whatever business that you set. That will tend to affect generations yet unborn. And to me, I think that is very fundamental. And that is very, very wealth emulating. Now we cannot continue this business of when you ask somebody, what's the name of your grandfather's mother? All they know, probably, or the best they can give you is to know their grandfather or probably their grandmother. And a good number of people are like that. And I think that is on the side of history. On the side of business, which tends to bring or generate this enviable commodity called money, many of us cannot mention whatever comments or whatever that their grandfathers were doing, that they carefully position it to affect, generations yet to be born. And I believe, say, when I follow diligently on materials, that is the kind of sense that I get. That I shouldn't just also build anything, but I should be thinking about something that can also be transferable to generations. And I must say a big thank you for the good work that I've done.
Wow. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. So any other thing that you want to share?
Yes. I think I want to touch on the fact that we need people to develop, we need people to build societies, to build whatever utopian environment that people believe it exists somewhere, that we can never have it here. I believe that we can do that, and we need the collective will of everybody. So in today's environment, as you sought to do every day, the opportunity, the platforms are there. Whatever few but rather impactful knowledge that we've had in the course of our study, let's share. Is it the best way to teach, or the best way to accumulate knowledge is to teach people? Well, let me say, and knowledge is also the only commodity that whenever you teach, it doesn't diminish. You rather tend to increase it. Unlike money, unlike probably your 1 acre land, that when you try to start to distribute, eventually it will exhaust. Knowledge is not like that. And it is only through knowledge that we can build that consciousness as a people. That we, unlike how we see ourselves today, we then turn a new leaf, begin to accept ourselves, and begin to never look down upon ourselves, and together understand we will be a mighty people tomorrow. Because I don't believe in individual of creation, personally. And I believe that my thinking too is right.
Yeah.
Because in an environment that you happens to be the king, the pastor, the mechanics, the teacher, you see that the burden, you cannot shoulder it alone.
No.
But when one is playing the role of the hand, the other that of the ear, the other that of the legs, I understand that is when the structures will then be, we can maneuver through the structures in such a free, let me say, accommodating manner, and it will relieve us from so many tensions that today we see, sparking out in almost every corner of our environment. So we should open our hands in terms of knowledge sharing. We shouldn't harbor what we have. And once again, I really appreciate what you've been doing for this country, especially the youth. And consciously, we've also been throwing your name out there that, hey, there's a new dawn. There's something really revolutionary happening, and people should avert their minds to. Yeah. And that is what, in our own small way, we've been doing. And I believe we should continue in that path. We should self-educate on the side of business, finance, and then most importantly, on history. That's right. And I believe that when our minds are open on that frontals, we believe say we will tend to be more conscious, and we can then build.
I will expect you, Ochre, open YouTube channels. Share the knowledge that you have.
That's right.
All right. I expect it from you. Open channels, share the knowledge. You know, we can leverage technology big time. We can change the minds of our people. This is the best time to do that. We have access to almost every kind of information. We can get access to almost anybody in this world. You know, it's the best time. You are in another region, and I'm here, and we are talking. And anybody at all around the world can get access to this video.
That's great.
20 years ago, it was not that simple. You know,
not at all.
So the depth that we have, the knowledge that we have built, I mean, we just have to let them go. You know, we have to put them out there, and many of us would have to do this. Yeah, but the consequences, because we have to, and that's why we have time. That's why we make time. That's no matter what, we still want to put something there, because the testimonies that we get, the things that we hear, they are amazing. And so many, I mean, there are many. We're just using technology to share the things that we have picked from all our teachers. You know, we have been blessed to have great teachers, you know, from preachers to historians to business people, from their books, from their videos, from their audios, you know, from one-on-one meetings with them, from our parents, grandparents, you know, brothers and sisters, friends. We have gleaned so much, and we cannot just go and die with them. You know, that's why I found time to put some in a book. And that's why we do the video. That's why no matter what, we still find time to go to, you know, share what we know on radio.
Yeah, I appreciate
power. I mean, if you get to a stage, you can see that this one is true, this one is not true. And most people must get to that level, because there's no way you can have the truth and be tricked. If you know the difference between the fake and the original, then nobody can trick you with the fake. If you know one CD, this is original and this is fake, you can only believe the people who don't know the truth.
Sure.
So if you see a lot of people being lost or being frustrated or not knowing what to do, it's because they don't have full grip of the truth. You know, so if you know something and it works and it's working and it doesn't know any barrier, it's likely to be the truth. And when people see something which is wise, they know it, because it's in every one of us, there's something that tests wisdom.
Sure.
So that's why when you can hear somebody say, this one is true, this one is wise. It's in all of us. You can pick it because you can connect them. And you cannot have revelations and give them to yourself. So I believe in knowledge sharing as well. And I think it's our duty. All of us come from unique backgrounds and we must share them. And we have no idea. Just as somebody was able to convince a small boy that they'll go through Niger and go to Europe, we can also convince somebody that go and build a business. Go, take charge, don't sleep, get up, go and pick a book, read, organize your life. Yeah. And that person could be frustrated, but you could also direct that person on a good path, and that person could become anybody. You know, I interview Yao. Yao is the he call himself agriculture entrepreneur. You know, he says that he's building a group of companies, and Yao is at his own. He has Pawpaw Farm, Okro Farm, and some other farms. 25. Most people who have watched that video say, the Pawpaw farmer. It is a young man.
Okay.
A young man. You should watch that video. It's there. You look at it, you see it. Young man, right. Just about 20 years or 90 or 80. And he says that the other day, he was able to get 25,000 Ghana cedis out of his Pawpaw farm a year. And he has done that 2 years, 2 times. And yet somebody saying that is so difficult. It's the persuasion, it's the mindset, it's the information coming. So the more we get quality information, life, we can lift it. It's like going to the gym. If you have built your muscle, there's a certain load you can carry. If you're not built anything, then you can't carry anything. It's the same. The mind is that muscle. You can lift anything if you have developed your mind, if you have developed your spirit. So life is only frustrating to the one who has not prepared for life. If you have prepared, then no matter what life throws at you, you'll fight back and eventually win. So your final words, and thank you for sharing your time, your knowledge, and everything with us. So your final words, Stanley.
Good. I must commend you for giving me this opportunity. We are constantly getting motivated, and we believe we will strive to make the needed change that society so yearns for. And tomorrow, it will be Junior Obeng Darko everywhere. You also be sharing the truth to the world.
That's right.
So thank you once again.
Thank you. Thank you. Stanley, thank you very much. You're grateful. Thank you very much for taking your time to watch this with Stanley, and see you another time.